Where did the whole Camaro Hopefuls project come about in the midst of all this?
Well, I was living with Applewick at the time.
At City Cabin?
At City Cabin.
So you guys are all living in this house that used to be Blackberry Way in Dinkytown.
Yeah.
Alex has running a studio out of it.
Right.
And you guys are I remember stopping by a couple times. And
yeah.
It's quite a scene.
It was quite a scene in those days. But we had another studio kind of set up in the basement that didn't interfere with Alex's professional studio. And that's where we started working on Camaro and what later became the Hopefuls stuff. So we would just, late nights when nothing else was going on, we would track some stuff on that record.
Now, did you see that as a collaborative project, something as opposed to Kid Dakota that was kind of your songs and you're writing them and then you're just bringing people in to flesh them out?
Yeah, it was more collaborative, but it was still. Eric had his songs and I had my songs, and we would just kind of play. We would just play everything else and everybody else on each other's songs.
Right.
So, in that sense, the spirit was collaborative, even though the ideas for the songs initially were very individual.
Did you go into it with a conscious sense of stylistically and mood-wise that you wanted it to be different?
Yeah, we just wanted it to be a fun kind of pop rock band.
So what brought you back to wanting to do just pop music like that after?
Well, I had started writing a lot of songs that wouldn't work in Kid Dakota so well, that were just sort of happier by nature, maybe more playful, and then Eric moved up to Minneapolis from South Dakota, and he had all these songs that were, kind of a similar vein, so it just seemed very natural to start working on that stuff together.
So you recorded the first Hopefuls record, and you brought along that song that you'd written 10 years earlier.
Right, that Stoned Again one.
Stoned Again.
Yeah.
And
then I think I have the version of it, what it ended up being. It's very different.
so this is the Hopefuls version of that song. So
Right.
what changed? Was it just that other people started contributing parts, or what did you change things yourself and what you?
God, there was a bridge section added, and other than that, there wasn't a lot changed. It's a lot more kind of rockin', but. I'm stoned again. I miss you very much. I'm stoned again, and I'm missing that vital love, the love that you chose to give to me, but not for eternity. I'm stoned again. I miss you very much. I don't wanna write you any love letters.
So who else was in this? It was Camaro for how long?
It was Camaro for about a year and a half. And we didn't really take ourselves very seriously because it was just kind of silly. And at that time it was Jay Hurley, who plays in Landing Gear, and Matt Kyle, who plays in Kubla Khan. And so we started out recording all these songs. We had this band. And then Kid Dakota started playing a lot, and.
So did it precede? Whoa! Did it precede Kid Dakota then? Camaro?
No, it started about the same time.
Okay.
Just a little bit later, maybe. I think Eric and I got busy with Kid Dakota, and so we kind of put the Hopefuls on the back burner for a while. And it was only when I got my Pro Tools system that we took the 8-track tapes that we had been recording the Hopefuls stuff on and transferred it over. I was like,
in the computer.
Yeah, in the computer, and I was like, oh, these songs are cool, and now I can do more stuff with them because they're in Pro Tools and I have a lot more tracks I can work with. And then So we ended up finishing the record. And at the time, we didn't have anybody in the band.
Now, were you still at City Cabin when that happened, or had you moved out?
I had just moved out of City Cabin.
And so you started setting up your own home studio.
Yeah, I had in a broom closet. Like it was a 3rd-story attic apartment that I lived in with my wife. And I remember we recorded all the vocals for the Hopefuls record in the kitchen. And on one of the vocals, you can hear Eric where he's rocking out and he knocked a plate off the dish rack. It was a really small kitchen and broke, and you can hear it on the vocal track.
On which song?
I think it's on Pretty Big Mouth. Yeah. So I was making that record in a room that had a back wall like this, and then a wall that slanted down like this, and I had my desk sitting here. And so Applewick, to get into the control room, he had to slouch down because he's really tall, you know? So we're both sitting in this little broom closet, finishing this record. So that was the start of my studio.
Short Man Studio.
Short Man Studio.
Is that where it
That's where the name came from, yeah. Because you could only get... Applewick couldn't stand up. So.
Kind of discriminatory.
Yeah, it is.